Yes, we're gonna take a few more questions and then wrap it up. Ms. Barnes, and then
Okay, would the hotel be age friendly?
speak up so that everyone
Yes.
hears.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think that's
And
the
the
beauty of
program.
Union Market.
Yeah.
Children friendly.
Do you mean little ones?
The old,
Top to
Yeah.
bottom.
Every age.
Okay,
to
thank
bottom.
you.
I'm
Thank
one of
you.
the old ones.
Yes, ma'am. Can you speak up, please, ma'am?
Yes, hands-on drums. I'll show you the press release and I'm happy to get more
Can I have a
information.
motion on the floor, Tony?
I'd like to, put the motion on the floor that the commission,
Question, are you working with the circulator because they're looking at redoing routes through Noma area and up into Union Market? Because even if you have parking for patrons, you still have 100 to 110 people that need to get to work.
No, but thank you for bringing that to our attention, because now we should contact them and see exactly what their routes are, and how it play into our plan.
okay, I'd like to put the motion on the floor that the commission, that 5D commission support my community to support this developer in their project.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded, that ANC5D support this project, which on its face looks like a fabulous addition, to the 5D community, Ward 5, and to our city as a general. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? The motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask that, Mr. Milstein and the Douglas Development Team come forward to present your project.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Paul Milstein with Douglas Development Corporation.
I'm sorry, I didn't put your name, Milstein. Sorry about that.
This, we're gonna present a project that we are doing as a joint venture with Kettler Brothers, who's a group that we have partnered with in the past in Union Market. This is an informational hearing. We're not asking for any votes this evening. It's just, we have filed a PUD. We don't have a zoning date yet. We don't have a set down hearing yet. So we got a ways to go, but we thought it would be get out to just at least get it out there so you can know what's coming in the near future. Then we'll be back to discuss details as time goes on. But with me tonight is the Kettler team. Brandon and he'll make the presentation, and Andrea and I'll sit back and answer questions that are relative to us. But those guys have been working on the design for several months, and we'll take us through it tonight. So I'll give you the floor.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Paul. Thanks, everyone. We're going old school tonight. We're going with boards instead of PowerPoint.
We like boards.
So, as Paul said, yeah, my name is Graham Turrell. I'm Vice President of Development for Kettler. We're very excited to be here with this new project for Union Market. I'm personally very excited. I'm a neighborhood resident and lived in the area for 10 years. I've seen a lot of changes in H Street. I've seen a lot of changes in Noma, and now it's happening in Union Market, in Mighty City, and it's just amazing how these neighborhoods are starting to come together. And that's a really critical piece of our project, is bringing neighborhoods together. I'm glad you brought that up. We really feel we have an opportunity with the location of our site to create a really important connection between Noma and then areas to the north, areas to the south, the neighbors to the south. We'll get into that here in just a second. This is the property. It's really actually two properties. It's 300 Moore Street and 350 Moore Street. This is on the very western side of Union Market, between the rail tracks and then behind the Edens property, which is on 4th Street. Douglas Development is the owner of the 350 Moore Street property, so we're working with those guys on their property. But we also have a contract on the 300 Moore Street property, which is under different ownership. And for those of you who know the area, it's various warehouse, produce, wholesale stores, and I think Can Farms is in this USB physical building. This one, the place most people know is Sam Wang Produce. And this is all behind the developments that have been approved on Florida Avenue, which is the level 2 development, and then the Elkhorn development, which is currently under construction. So one of the really important things about our project is the way it's going to connect with the level 2 development. And just move to this next exhibit. It's a bit busy here, but I'll sort of just kind of summarize it quickly. We think we are at a very critical confluence of a lot of populations. When you start to think about, you have the Gallaudet students and faculty, we have the neighborhood to the south, which goes all the way to H Street, even onto Capitol Hill. You have Noma, where you have a tremendous amount of daytime population with the office workers, but also now increasingly a large resident population. And then also, just vehicular, we have an amazing amount of traffic on New York Avenue. We have all the people coming into DC on Amtrak, as well as the folks riding Metro. Ultimately, there may also be an opportunity, and this is something I know that Paul's very excited about, to create a connection for biking through this property under New York Avenue, and then connecting to the rails trails line all the way up to ID60 and Arboretum. So that's something we feel, again, can be achieved through this development. But the really important part is, for the short term, is this location here. So you folks probably are still pretty familiar with the level 2 plan. They have a small park area that is part of their plan. It's on a DC-owned piece of property, but they're going to build it as part of their development. And we're going to take that park and we're going to extend it further into the market, and then we're going to add to it with a public plaza that then connects on through into the buildings that we're proposing, as well as into the market. So what that's going to do is it's going to create a really meaningful pedestrian connection. It's going to allow, for example, Gallaudet students to walk through Union Market and then come through this location rather than have to walk on Florida Avenue or cross Florida Avenue further down. So this is the big picture plan, and let me just mention, this is probably in the order of a 10-year build out. So this is not, we're coming in and dumping all this development day one. This is a 2-phase project essentially. The first phase is really the southern portion of the property, and then the second phase or future phases will be the north section. So in phase 1 we have a residential building which has 2 components to it, a mid-rise and a high-rise. We have a second residential building which lines Moore Street and lines this public plaza. We're going to connect Moore Street through, we're going to create a new section of 3rd Street, and we're going to take Neal Street back through as well. So Neal Street's going to connect through, and that will connect to the Inns project, and then obviously down to Union Market. The first phase again will be the 2 residential buildings and a 3rd building, which is an office building, high-rise office building. All these buildings are going to have retail, probably a total in the first phase of about 40,000 feet of retail. So again, one of the things we're really sort of focused on is creating the streetscape, creating a really sort of incredible walking environment right from the get-go. We want to have good retail in here. We want to have very active, lively streets. And again, as I was mentioning, this is the level 2 project here. This is the park that they've designed. We're going to connect to their park, continue the park, and then create this plaza area where we can have special events, we can have outdoor movies, we can have gatherings of all sorts. So once again, we're going to create this connection through to Noma, the H Street neighborhood to the south, and then obviously connecting the neighborhoods to the north. So we have some renderings here as well, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what that may all look like. So this is a view if you were coming down Moore Street. So if you imagine you come into the market, you're on 4th Street, you turn left, and you're on Morse. Obviously, we're going to continue Morse Street down. This is residential building here, a high-rise component of residential on this side, and an office building here. Again, creating a very strong retail base. All these buildings sit on a 20-foot podium, which means that they'll have very high ceilings for the retail. That's what the retailers love these days. They really want to be visible. They want people to sort of have great spaces for restaurants and so forth. again, really focusing on the retail, but also in the building that lines 3rd Street, it's mid-rise, and when I say mid-rise, I'm talking about a 6-story building. The high-rise, I believe, is 11 stories. This building will have much more of a traditional architecture, a little bit more reminiscent of the market. We're looking at doing some interesting kind of details with the canopies that extend over the retail to kind of evoke the old designs of the loading docks. Also creates some really nice balconies for the residents above, so again, creates an environment where the residents are engaging with the street below and makes it a very dynamic place. This is a view looking at the top of the park, and when I say top, because again, Florida Avenue sits down about 20 feet from Union Market today. We're going to regrade our site and bring it down several feet and end up with a grade change of probably more like 15 feet. And by doing that, we're going to be able to create a connection that is very accessible. It won't need any steps, it will be ramps, and it'll be kind of doubling up as access, but also a really nice park space that people can use. When you get to the top of that park space, this is obviously the main entrance into our residential building, but there'll be restaurants overlooking the park, and again, this plaza area, looking back to the east along Wall Street. Goes out. Another view, similar, but this is a bit further back as if you're approaching from within the park. We are working with level 2 development. We are starting to design a park that will be a holistic design. It's not going to be like their piece and then our piece. It's going to work as a single environment, and we think that's going to, again, be a really meaningful place. It ends up being about half an acre park space. You know, it's interesting when you start to think, like, Nova now is looking desperately for park space because they didn't put it in the first phase of construction. Here we're delivering the half-acre park very early on into the Union Market neighborhood. And I didn't mention that in the second phase we have an opportunity for an even bigger park space. Go back to the site plan. So at the very northern end of the property, there's some land, which this would be part of the phase 2 build-out. So another residential building, and then a commercial building here that will have first floor retail. And on these later phases, again, we're thinking possibly hospitality, maybe a hotel might be a good option. We're getting a lot of early interest in that, as you just saw with the previous applicant. You know, there's a lot of people interested in hotel space in and around Union Market now. But the area that extends around here is a great opportunity for another park space, and that's what we would like to potentially DC owned properties. It's very similar to this, in that we'll have to work through with the district on exactly how that gets worked out. But we'd like to design a park for that area. It would actually be pretty much close to an acre park space. So in combination, in this whole development, you would end up with 1.5 acres of public space, park space, in addition to all the streets. Just get the last image there. And this is just a final image that is looking more or less as if you are on Florida Avenue, looking back up through that park. This would be level 2 here. This is the high-rise building. It's, again, early architecture in terms of concepts, but we're looking at something that is a little different for DC. You know, something that has a little curvature to it. Our application will not be maximizing the FAR on our site. So, unlike most people where we're trying to shove as much as possible into the box, we have an opportunity to do things that are a bit more sort of creative. And then one other item that may have caught your eye, at the end of this plaza, we're looking at maybe some ideas for an interesting sort of element there that might sort of help define the neighborhood. We think it also will create sort of an interesting backdrop if you're in the plaza, if there's an event going on. It creates another side to the room, if you will, the outdoor room. We think it's an opportunity where we can have something there that will let people on the rail tracks know there's an interesting place here, as well as if you're coming up from Florida Avenue. And again, one of the things we really like about our particular location is all the exciting things that are now happening on the south side of Florida too. Probably aware that along 3rd Street between Uline Arena and Florida, there's a lot of new development being proposed. So we actually think, 5-10 years from now, this is going to be a very mature retail environment. You'll be able to walk from REI and Uline up 3rd Street, across Florida Avenue, up through our park and the plaza, and experience all these great retail events from Union Market all the way back to REI and Uline.
If we do the bike trail, right, you can go to the Hex building
And then you
too.
can keep on going up to the Hex. And I don't think I mentioned where that bike trail. So the beginning to that bike trail would actually be through this alleyway that sits behind these buildings. So as part of this build out, we would have a bike lane in here and running up through the park, and then ultimately it gets to that tunnel that goes under New York Avenue, which we'd really like to see sort of opened up and connect all the way up to the operator.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up for questions at this time. Yes, ma'am.
My question would be, the people that are in that warehouse section where you have those different, like the meat places and the produce places and all of that, what phase is that? That's when it's kind of a public park.
Yeah, so the existing two buildings that are out there, they would all be demolished as part of the first phase. So all of those businesses are already aware of that. Their leases terminate, so they're moving regardless.
And if I may,
Thank you.
I'm very pleased that by the request for Douglas Development and the team to come here tonight to provide our residents in this commission with an opportunity to take a first look at your project without asking us for something. Typically, developers, they want to come to the community, they want you to rubber stamp and move on. And I'm very happy that this process is inclusive. We're very pleased by the stakeholders, Douglas Development, which underscores a true partnership. We want to be able to provide excellent information to the community and to have you weigh in and embrace this. This is not just about, a rush to development. And I'm very excited that you have a design that is not maximizing the FAR, which is, the floor area ratio.
Sure.
Typical people want to jam as much into a development space as possible, and thoughtful development, I think, really serves not only Commissioner Lewis and her residents, but this entire commission, Ward 5, and the entire city. So I'm very pleased, and I want to open it up for some questions or comments that you may have at this time.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm actually excited. I kind of knew about it, but I'm kind of excited about the park space because that's something that's quite needed. And I know a portion of that park space is government owned. So I'm positive the community will support you guys in your request with the government for that space.
Yeah, we think it's critical to the wider Union Market area. I think most other projects right now really don't have the room to provide that amenity, which is critical. And again, one of the things we really are thinking of this as a long-term plan, because we're thinking about how this area is going to mature in the next 10 years, and we know that it's not just going to be, all 20-somethings who want to live here. It's going to be families, kids who want to have play areas. So we're really thinking about those amenities in addition to, the other forms that most people provide.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
I like everything that you showed. I like the progress that everything is being built. But you stated that the bike trail is going to be behind the building.
Well, the alleyway through here it's a little misleading to call it an alley. It's actually the size of a road essentially. So if you just really think of this as another street that runs between these two buildings.
Migrated there. That's all I want.
Yeah, and we've actually done studies on getting this bike trail. Like, it's a big deal to the community.
I'm just
We want
looking
the
at
bike
safety.
trail.
That's all I'm looking at.
Thank you.
But no, it'll be
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to thank, yes, Commissioner?
So thank you very much for sharing this.
Sure.
I wanted to know if, like, before you come back the next time, if you can share something like either electronically or in paper, just so we can look at it more closely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Happy to.
Have a chance to.
Thank you.
So this is gonna be rental units?
The first phase would rental, residential, and then let's say office building. The later phases could well be facilities, you know, again, where
Look, how many are going around this?
in the first phase, we have 525 apartments.
So it's gonna be larger apartments.
There'll be a full range. There'll be studios all the way up to some large 2 bedrooms, maybe even some small 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, we like 3 bedrooms.
Thank you. Quickly, so we need to move on. Thank you.
My concern is over this out with the old in with the new, and even though I understood what you said, that, you know, they know their lease is up kind of thing. I mean, I like Union Market and all that, but it's kind of like we're coming on with the new, but we don't really care about what happened to the old one part. And I guess what I would like to see is I don't know, that's just a concern of mine, out with the old one. So if there's any way that can be incorporated into whatever, it's just a personal opinion. We don't have to.
Thank you, Mr. Montague, and that'll be the last comment.
I'm just looking to see if there's any coordination out of all the projects that we hear about. We all back here ask about the employment angle of it. If I'm not mistaken, that gentleman over there is a representative of the councilperson's office. Is there any way for us to coordinate what you guys are doing, what these guys are doing, what his office, no offense intended, should be doing, but they've got an economic development person. Is there no way to get a regular report, quarterly, semi-annual, annual, that speaks to, because I asked 6 months ago, could we have employment address when people come to present? And, as it went out with the people that went out, is it not possible to make some type of report available for all the projects that you look at? What we actually do, and down the road benefit to the community. We're not leveraging the things you guys approve and do.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and your reference is to Mr. Ronan Goldstone, the Chief of Staff from the Council Member's Office. I'm glad you're here to hear those comments, and I look forward to you working with this commission to make sure that we uphold the citizens' request, and that's a bona fide request. We're gonna move on.
Can I make
Thank
one
you.
comment real quick?
Go ahead.
I know Tommy Jones from the mayor's office is looking at, the employment piece. I know he was supposed to
Thank you,
have a
Commissioner.
He was supposed to have a report out because Douglas Development and a group of other employers did it specifically for my single member district, and we opened it up all to 5D and other areas in the city. So we are working on that piece, so I'll try to get the report from Mr. Tommy for you guys.
Excellent, Commissioner Lewis. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to thank you for
Thank
the
you very much.
presentation.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to ask Mr. Richard Jackson, who is the Deputy Director from the District Department of Energy and the Environment, to come forward. I asked Mr. Jackson to come to this meeting to present because the Environmental Protection Agency has filed suit against Pepco, and this is part of the discussion for the excellent